Journalists in the southwest region of the country have been left disappointed after the regional governor washed his hands of the Samuel Nsoesie affair. Bernard Okarabilai told the pressmen who staged the peaceful protest in Boya today that he cannot interfere in the matter because the journalist was taken far from his administrative zone of command. The journalists, however, say they must continue the pressure on authorities to cough out the truth. We shall be bringing you the details in this newscast. Also, students of Form 5, Premier and Troisième have also resumed classes for the third and final term of the 2019-2020 school year after upper seat terminal university students and Class 6 pupils began on the 1st of June. As Ladonette Oni tells us in this newscast, it was a timid takeoff characterized by the strict respect of barrier measures against the coronavirus. Those are top stories. Good evening and thanks for joining us. You're watching the primetime newscast on STV. The governor of the southwest region has washed his hands of the Samuel Nsoesie affair. Bernard Okarabilai told reporters who met him for explanations that the journalist was taken away from his region of command and so he cannot provide answers over the whereabouts of Samuel Nsoesie. Journalists, however, say that they remain poised to unearth the truth behind the whereabouts of their colleague. More in this report. In the search for concrete answers over the controversial disappearance of Samuel Nsoesie, journalists in the southwest region stormed the streets of Boya in a peaceful protest. From the streets, they moved to the governor's office to demand explanation from administrative authorities.
Come here today to express our grief and to tell the governor that journalists are not armed robbers. Journalists are not miscreants. Journalists are not supposed to be treated with disdain. We have a right. Even if we are terrorists, please, there are laws that govern everything. The courts are there, and we believe in our judicial system. But what has happened to Nsoesie, it has given us cause to make sure that we don't even trust our laws.
The conclave between the journalist and the governor is in camera, and at the end, even Bernard Okarabilai seems helpless to face the situation.
Well, we have been met by the Southwest governor that he don't have that, or his office don't have that capacity to handle issues out of the region. That the state that Nsoesie was here, he was in a good state, and but when they left with him for Yaoundé, he could not intervene at that level.
Several news organs, civil society groups and journalist associations have already said the PG News host is dead. Despite missing for 300 days, the pressmen say it is too early to make confirmation.
To tell the world now is to tell everyone listening that we need to continue asking questions with that concluding. Because if we keep on saying that Nsoesie is dead, who told you Nsoesie is dead? It's not about calling somebody to confirm to you. It's about having that document to back you up.
Journalists are disappointed, but say that several ends of this matter must be stitched.
I think that at the end of this, Nsoesie deserves what? A befitting burial. The family also deserves what we call closure because they have gone through trauma for a long time. And what we want now is that the perpetrators of this actually to be brought to justice because we believe in our judicial system. Thank you.
Thank you. The rule of law, they say, must be respected to demystify the cloudy situation of Samuel Nsoesie, and they insist that the ball remains in the court of authorities. Human rights organizations in the country and even abroad have also called on the government to take its responsibility and shed more light on the Samuel Nsoesie affair. One of them is the Human Rights Defense Network for Central Africa, REDAC, who has called on the government to identify and sanction the soldiers who whisked away the journalist from the Munya District Police Station shortly after his arrest last year. A similar call has come from the Stand Up for Cameroon movement, who is asking the head of state to explain what happened at the time of his arrest, when and where he was killed, if that is so, and a roadmap on how justice will be served. The Center for Human Rights and Democracy has also expressed shock, urging the government to seek justice for Samuel Wazizi, who was confirmed dead by some media organs and the Cameroon Journalist Trade Union. Now, Barrister Achu Julius has called for an in-depth investigation to be conducted in order to demystify the cloudy situation surrounding Samuel Wazizi. The lawyer told STV on phone that the present stalemate only leads to assumptions. Let's listen to him.
It's the rights of some other person, because if we allow this thing to go without investigation, this year happens to any other person any other time, and it will still have the same causes, give the same results, and have the same effect. So I find that the professional family of this guy and his real natural family, they make sure they see the authorities that need to organize a proper investigation to come out with the truth. And I can never tell you what may be the outcome. We can make presumptions, but we can't go beyond that, because we are not the ones taking the decision. Lawyers are just there to present a good case, to defend the rights of a party, or present the law as it is, to give a proper interpretation. But we cannot take decisions. We can never know what will be the outcome. But from what we heard, what we've seen is the fact that there's an allegation that he was under detention, and nobody seems to know where he is. But in any case, the first thing, if I was involved, the first thing I asked for is a proper investigation to be carried out to find out what must have happened. You see, it will leave only on presumptions. These are things that cause a lot of problems. I believe that this guy belongs to a professional family. And this is the time for his professional family to come together to make sure that he gets the best out of it, that justice is being done out of this matter. And you cannot do it if there's no proper and independent investigation to come out with the facts of what must have happened.
Highlighting that an investigation must be conducted to establish the circumstances behind the mysterious Samuel Wazizi affair. Now, just as we told you in the headline, students of Form 5 Premier as well as Troisième have also resumed the third and final term of the academic year, 2 months after government shut down schools for fear of the COVID-19 pandemic. This follows the resumption of school by upper 6 university students as well as class 6 pupils on Monday, the 1st of June 2020. Ladonet only tells us that the resumption of the second phase was timid and was characterized by the strict respect of barrier measures against COVID-19.
We need to take the maize seed together with the cotyledon and put it in a mortar. Then we crush it with a mortar pestle.
Leisure days have ended for students in examination classes as students of Form 5, Troisième, Premier joined their counterparts in upper seat and terminal at schools today. But unfortunately, the camaraderie that usually exists on such days is absent due to the COVID-19 and the need to respect barrier measures.
On Monday, we resume effectively with the advanced level, and this Thursday, we equally resumed with the ordinary level. So we have a total of 82 students for ordinary level that we took today, and we have divided them into 4 classes, and so the classes are going on smoothly. So we have 25 art students, we have 19 science students, 21 commercial students, and 17 industrial students. All of them have different classes who are taking their classes.
In order to protect these students, some preventive measures have been carried out.
At the entrance, we have a bucket and water, hand sanitizer, soap, and that is where the students, before entering the campus, they have to wash their hands, and any other person who accesses the campus has to wash their hands. We equally distributed masks to our teachers and our students free of charge, and on campus as well. Before you go to class as well, we equally have some buckets stationed around the school, and before you leave the class to go somewhere, you must wash your hands before you come back to class.
Teachers have described this resumption as timid due to the limited number of students present.
Yes. This morning the children turned out in their numbers and they had their first lesson this morning, which was economics. As far as respecting the safety measures put in place by the state, the children are really trying to respect it, though it is difficult. Because learning with a mask is not really easy, but they are trying to respect it.
In order to respect the social distancing measure, these students have been shared in different classrooms handled by different.
Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has deeply influenced how students and pupils spend their break time, especially what and how they eat. While some schools have shut down their eateries with students and pupils compelled to bring their food from home, they also must sit and eat in their respective classes in a bid to respect the social distancing rule. Josephine Binzi visited a school in the economic capital Douala and now reports.
Brush it with a mortar pestle. Then we put some water into.
After long hours of study, break time is very imperative in schools for students to grab a bite and sustain them for a few hours before returning home. At this school in Mambanda, Bonaberi, it's completely empty outside as students strive to respect all social distancing measures and bring snacks to school.
I
didn't come to school with lunch from home, but I got some bread from a lady who sells out of campus because we can't buy in school. It's difficult. With the allowance given us at home, we can't completely be satisfied, but we are good to go. I bought some bread from home and I'll eat very well in school. Some students are totally in accord with homemade food as they have a high sense of hygiene, which is paramount to living healthy. I'm contented that people no longer sell in school. I prefer bringing snacks from home to eat in school, so I like it that way. With all the difficulties we are faced with, we are under every obligation to respect what school authorities say, especially during this period of COVID-19. I eat at home before leaving, so it enables me to be a little resistant before I return home. Though it is complex with some who can't provide for themselves, limiting the spread of the coronavirus is an assignment on the shoulders of all Cameroonians.
Transporters in the economic capital Douala heaved a sigh of relief when schools began on the 1st of June 2020, but now they lament that the resumption of schools is far from giving them good financial returns. They, however, say that the respect for barrier measures against the COVID-19 pandemic is non-negotiable and must be respected by students, pupils, and education stakeholders. Josephine Binzi has more.
Transport sectors in the economic capital complain of a very slow business season, given the resumption of the last phase of the academic year. Though life is slowly returning to the city, the hardest seems to deal with transporting students to school.
Un peu plus, ça donne un peu. On se retrouve petit.
It's been a difficult season since this particular school year began. But it's better because students bought bikes in the morning to go to school, but prefer to walk back home. In the morning, we carry many of them, which is to our advantage. The pressure of not returning home a day with a reasonable sum of money is their main cry as they are obliged to go beneath the recognized tariff to make a living. I can say not much has changed. The roads are bad, and instead of them paying 200 francs, they insist on 100 francs, and I carry them to school. Sometimes, some of them leave Mambanda to 4 étages on foot because they don't have transport fare. In spite of these difficulties, others go a long way to constantly remind these students to wear their face mask before boarding their bikes.
Les élèves qui prennent la moto, je les conseille toujours, il faut qu'ils soient avec leur masque propre.
I always advise students who board bikes to have their face mask on and keep it clean and respect social distance measures in schools. They just have to stay safe and wear their face masks.
Ce n'est que la protection. Couvrez le nez.
Though this phase is shorter, transporters are looking for possible solutions for transport tariffs to be respected before the beginning of the next school year.
The Ministry of Public Health has ordered the reopening of the Marie O Clinic in the economic capital Douala 2 months after it was shut down for violating rules relating to the handling of COVID-19 patients. As Catherine Kone reports, the clinic's reopening is sanctioned by new orientations of the Prime Ministry and consultations with the Cameroon Medical Council. Her report.
Almost a month without functioning, today the Public Health Minister Manahuda Malashi ordered for the reopening of Polyclinic Marie O. In a communique issued to the Senior Divisional Officer for Wuri, the health boss urged the SDO to do all the necessary arrangements for the reopening of the clinic. It is worth recalling that Marie O Clinic has been a center of several scandals. The clinic was accused of exaggerated bills levied on patients. The health district was equally accused of wrong diagnoses.
This lady is claiming that her son was said to have coronavirus and later told that it was a heart attack, which killed him, whereas he was buried the same day without the necessary protocols followed, which was hard for the family to bear after having spent over $1 million francs CFA.
The raid encountered between the deceased family and health personnel was later resolved by the intervention of forces of law and order. The straw that broke the camel's back was the illicit attendance to COVID-19 patients without official authorization from the Ministry of Public Health, and in the process failed to comply with some professional norms. These stores led to its shutdown, and the patient admitted were evacuated to other health facilities.
I'm acting as a Republican and not opposing the decision of the minister to shut down the clinic. That's why when the senior divisional officer got here, the place was empty, because I followed my protocol in the profession and made sure that all of my patients are transferred to other clinics in Douala.
Talking to Dr. Roger Ngola on phone, he reassured that the clinic will be opened in the days ahead and says he had confidence in justice and appreciated the government.
A stock of arms seized from separatist fighters has been presented to pressmen in Kumba in the southwest region of the country by the senior divisional officer for Meme Division, Chamberlain Tuondong. Other items also presented include military wares, knives and hard drugs. Catherine Kone tells us that it is the fruit of an operation launched in Mabanda, where an Ambazonian general was killed. Her report.
These guns of different designs, bullets, machetes, military uniform, money, were part of the items recovered by the military after an attack in a separatist camp at Malende, a village in the Kumba 3 subdivision.
This one was Malende camp. Those who used to disturb Trikona, Malende, Teke, Kilwindi, and the whole Mabanda. They are the one, even upon the street. Anyway, we want to just to continue to advise my population to remain calm and to work closely with the forces of law who are there to secure them.
The senior divisional officer lauded the joint collaboration between the military and the locals in neutralizing the separatist fighters.
We say that those boys are seized yesterday through a very wonderful operation conducted to support the whole population, and the forces of law and order committed to the tax. They are the one who successfully did this important operation, which is going to help in order to bring in peace within my population here in Nigeria. Let me say it openly here that the SU and his team will continue permanently to to secure our population. Our population, all of them.
He vowed to set a crackdown to the separatist fighters if they don't drop their weapons.
Those boys, there is no way for them. There is no way for them. If they don't want to play down like a goddess, I will continue to hunt them. I will continue to hunt them. They have that opportunity sent given to them by the head of state. They should seize this opportunity to lay down their gun. Yesterday they were talking that on Monday they should not continue to observe ghost town and those town. What are they today? Just one day after they have been seriously touched, and we will continue if they don't want to.
The operation was carried out Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020, with authorities decrying the continuous attack on these people.
Just as you heard there, it was Malende and not Mabanda, as earlier announced. A similar operation has also taken place in Bafut in the northwest region with a large stock of arms, uniforms, hard drugs, vehicles, motorbikes and other items seized from separatist fighters, while others have been neutralized according to military sources. 300 soldiers were deployed to Bafut and for 1 week raided several camps of Ambazonian fighters. Several separatist fighters are said to have been killed, amongst them General Deadman. The military exploit was supervised by the commander of the 5th Joint Military Region, Brigadier General Vale Nka. The Douala City Council has unveiled her new building permit code. Meeting with pressmen today in Douala, the city mayor, Roger Mbassa Ndine, has called on the population to use this code and respect urbanization norms. Ladonette Oni tells us that the city council has launched 2 operations in this regard.
According to research carried out by the Douala City Council, only 10% out of the millions of houses being constructed in Douala are in possession of a building permit. A situation evident in the Douala 2 and 3 municipalities. In the absence of these, many get discouraged to commence building projects.
Vous savez qu'à Douala, le véritable problème, c'est un problème de possession foncière, c'est-à-dire que
the main problem is getting a land title. There are many houses in Douala without land titles and building permits. So when they are rejected, they don't respect urbanization rules. This is also an objective for this campaign. For all construction works, the City Council has voted and agreed on granting the necessary documents for construction.
Qui permettra donc de donner à ce type de construction des autorisations provisoires de construction.
Sensitizing the population on mastering urbanization plan in Douala was the main objective of the 2 campaigns launched at the end of the month of May by the city mayor, Roger Mbassa Ndine.
La première campagne, c'est la campagne de régularisation donc des permis de construire.
The first campaign was launched so as to regularize the construction permit. This campaign is to verify if all construction works are in possession of a building permit or not. And if they don't have building permits, we will help arrange the situation. For now, we haven't started in applying these. The second campaign is to verify if the building under construction falls in line with the building permit granted.
Vérifier si les constructions correspondent au permis de construire délivré.
Informing the population of the decision in regards to obtaining building permits and land titles was the main topic discussed in this press conference today.
Out of the country, U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper said on Wednesday that he does not approve the use of active duty military forces in quelling protests, as largely peaceful protest continues in major cities across the United States. The Pentagon chief's statement is at variance with President Trump, who has vowed to use the National Guard to silence the demonstrations. More with the VOA.
Largely peaceful protests continued in major U.S. cities Wednesday, where tens of thousands defied curfews and the threat of the coronavirus to express outrage over racism and police violence. Earlier this week, U.S. President Donald Trump threatened to invoke a law which would allow him to authorize active duty forces to quell protests without governor's consent. Challenging the president's threat, Defense Secretary Mark Esper said active duty forces should only be used in the most urgent and dire of situations.
We are not in one of those situations now. I do not support invoking the Insurrection Act.
Wednesday morning, Esper ordered 200 active duty soldiers to return to their home base after 2 days of peaceful demonstrations in Washington, but abruptly overturned the decision just hours later after a meeting at the White House. Esper also distanced himself from a malign visit by Trump to a church near the White House to take a picture with a Bible. After police dispersed the crowd with flash grenades and chemical sprays. The move and his overall handling of protests have hurt Trump's approval rating.
We're in the middle of social unrest as intense as we've seen since the 1960s. This is not a good atmosphere and environment for a president to run for re-election. So he's going to have to do a lot of things to get back on track and perhaps to become the front runner again, because as of today, he is not the front runner.
The unrest was triggered by the death of George Floyd, a black man who died after a white police officer pinned his knee on Floyd's neck for more than 8 minutes. All living American former presidents, including Jimmy Carter, George W. Bush, and Bill Clinton, have voiced condemnation. In a virtual town hall, former President Barack Obama urged mayors to review the use of force in their cities.
That was a far more representative cross-section of America out on the streets, peacefully protesting, and who felt moved to do something because of the injustices that they had seen.
The protests have highlighted multiple systems of racial inequity in the country.
And that's connected to housing, it's connected to employment, it's connected to public schools. We often talk about public school to prison pipeline. So it's not just about sentencing or bad policing or police cameras. There's so many people out in the streets because something is fundamentally wrong and broken in the system for millions of Americans.
The charges for Minnesota police officer Derek Chauvin have been elevated to second-degree murder, defined as intentional murder that lacks premeditation. 3 officers who were on the scene have been charged with aiding and abetting the murder. Patsy Widakuswara, VOA News, Washington.
And that wraps up the primetime newscast on STV for today. Thank you very much for watching. More news comes up in the French language at 8 p.m. From the entire news and production team in Douala, have a good night.